Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back for another video. Today we are going to talk about the upcoming FOMC meeting and the implications for Bitcoin and as a result, all of crypto in general. If you like this content, feel free to smash up that like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment or two in the comment section. But let's go ahead and dive right in. So I want to talk about real quick what's going on right now. So what's going on at this moment over the last few days, over the last couple of weeks, ever since that December 4th liquidation event that brought us to $42,000 for Bitcoin? What's been happening since then? Because, we got up to $52,000 last week and then we've just been crabbing, but bleeding. So a crab, but a bleed. And so here's basically, in my opinion, what I think is going on at this moment is that buyers are waiting. They're waiting for tomorrow. They don't want to be surprised by anything that comes from tomorrow. And so they're waiting to see what the Fed decides to do before they make their next moves. And I have compared this often to this time in July. So, all right, May 17th, I believe it was May 17th. We had this huge liquidation event, went down to $29,000, bounced up, got a little bit above $40,000, but then just crabbed for a couple months. But then these last few weeks here, we bled. Just like what's happening right now, we just bled. And so over a span of a few weeks, we topped out at $35,000, went down, topped out at $34,000, went down, topped out at 33, down 32, et cetera, and then bottomed out at $29,200 or so before moving higher. What were people doing? They were doing the same thing as they're doing now. They were waiting. And what were they waiting for back then? They were waiting for the grayscale unlocks to finish. And so when those grayscale unlocks, the big ones finished, at that time they were ready to start buying again. I think something similar is happening right now. We got up to 52, went down, got up to 50. Over the weekend, we got up to 50, and then we went back down. And it's just the bears, until at least tomorrow, the bears are in control. Will they remain in control after tomorrow? We'll see. We'll see. That's what I want to examine and take a look at. And just seeing the ramifications of the Federal Reserve, the FOMC, what are they going to do? And I do want to be clear about something quickly, and that is simply that I usually don't care about FOMC meetings. And I say this as a former mortgage agent whose livelihood depended on these FOMC meetings. Over a span of a year, I can tell you what I think is going to happen. They're going to raise rates, and maybe, I don't think at this next meeting, but in 2022, they're going to raise rates. They'll maybe do it a couple times, and they'll see that the bubble is starting to burst, and then they'll lower rates back again. That's how it always works. Every time they try to raise rates, disaster strikes, or they can tell that disaster is impending, and so then they lower rates again. And so on a long enough timeline, that is the playbook. They don't know that, or I really think they don't know that. But for the short term, what's going to happen? That's what we need to figure out. So as far as what I'm expecting tomorrow, there are four big categories of, or should I say cohorts of Bitcoin holders that I want to take a look at, because I think this is going to give us some kind of insight into what we can expect for tomorrow. And those four cohorts are: 1, short-term holders; 2, long-term holders; 3, funders or leveraged traders; and then 4, we haven't really talked about this very much, but miners. And so short-term holders, long-term holders, leverage traders, and miners. And so I shared this recently. I shared it on my TikTok, just a short video recently. But what we have seen over the last couple of weeks from short-term holders is an extreme deviation from their normal behavior. They have just flat out capitulated. This is an extreme deviation. Even, getting into this channel would have been what was expected, but they have gone far beyond. And they have sold at a loss, at unprecedented levels. And so short-term holders are pretty much exhausted. There isn't much more damage that they could do. They could do some damage, and maybe bring us down a little bit more. But as far as what I would expect from short-term holders over the next month or 2 months is for this to get back to within normal ranges. So I'm not expecting much potential damage from short-term holders as a result of tomorrow's meeting. Now, long-term holders are a really interesting story. And this is, I'm telling you, this is unprecedented in Bitcoin's history. The fact that short-term holders would capitulate to the extent that they did, but then long-term holders are continuing to add to their stacks. I mean, it's at a slow pace right now, again, because they're waiting for tomorrow. But again, look at illiquid supply. Illiquid supply just keeps on rising, even though the price is dumping because of the liquid supply being dumped. The price is going down, but illiquid supply keeps rising. Long-term holders, the ones with conviction, the ones with the so-called diamond hands, are holding on to their Bitcoin. And I've talked about this a lot, but look at the difference between now and May. Long-term holders, a lot of the events that happened in May really spooked them out. Elon Musk saying that Tesla was not going to accept Bitcoin payments, the China FUD dropping the hash rate dramatically by banning mining, that definitely caused some long-term holders to sell at a point when they might not have, but they dumped. But right now, similar levels of fear in the market, their conviction is very strong. And so what are we going to see from long-term holders today? That's something tomorrow, that's something I want to address. But then number 3, leverage traders, AKA funding. I'm seeing some lukewarmness here. We saw a market that was way too overheated. The day we got to $69,000 was the day that open interest peaked. But then we had this liquidation, this cascading liquidation event, and the amount of open interest was cut in half. And so this is another thing that I'm looking at along with short-term holders. I think those who are in futures positions can't really have much of an effect on the price, on the short-term price of Bitcoin, that we're not going to see any kind of massive amount of liquidations coming from anything that happens tomorrow, unless there's some major black swan event, which wouldn't happen tomorrow. But unless there's some major black swan event, leveraged traders are the impact that they're going to have on short-term price action, I believe, is pretty minimal. And then miners, again, we haven't really talked about miners all that much, but if you see here, the level of conviction is very strong. It's been flat for several months. Now, when did miners sell? They sold a lot as Bitcoin over, last year crossed $20,000 and went to the $40,000 range, doubled in a span of about 3 weeks. Miners started selling their positions. Now, this is an anomaly. This is one particular miner who dumped a lot of their crypto. But otherwise, there are some peaks here, some spikes of miners selling their position, but ever since then, it's been very flat. And so here is the thing that I'm trying to process over time, is that I think the ones who are in the driver's seat as to what's going to happen tomorrow are the miners and the long-term holders. So is there anything that can come out tomorrow that would cause miners and long-term holders to dump their positions? Because that is what I think would have the greatest cause of Bitcoin going down something to the 30s or something, or maybe to the lower 40s. But if there is nothing that causes miners and long-term holders to change their convictions, then I think the worst has already come. That $42,000 level has already come. So here's the expectation for tomorrow. This is very important for us to understand. Can the Fed surprise us tomorrow? They absolutely can. And maybe that will cause the price to dump to the lower 40s, or dare I say even lower than that. But this is what we need to establish as this is the expectation. The Fed is expected to speed up end of bond buying and signal interest rates hikes are coming. So there's 2 different things here. One is tapering. And we are all expecting that the Federal Reserve is going to speed up tapering tomorrow. And I believe that is priced into the market. If they were to announce, we are speeding up tapering tomorrow, when they make their announcement of what they're going to do, I don't expect anything significant to happen because that is priced in. But this is the big one here, is what we are expecting. This is also priced in, signal that interest rate hikes are coming, that they are going to signal that interest rate hikes are coming, that they're not going to raise interest rates tomorrow, but they're going to signal that in 2022 that interest rate hikes are coming. I would be shocked if the Fed did not raise interest rates from 0 to 0.25 within the first 3 months of 2022. But what would surprise me if they announced tomorrow that they are raising interest rates immediately. For them to not signal at any previous Fed meeting, but then to go in and say, yeah, hey, we're raising interest rates now, that is the kind of thing that I think could introduce some kind of a shock to the system. Now, I am very much not expecting that. They always signal before they act. But yeah, if they were to say, hey, we're raising interest rates, then that is going to cause something scary, mildly scary to happen tomorrow. Maybe some long-term holders, maybe some miners will offload some of their positions as a result of that. So that's what I'm looking for. But signaling that interest rate hikes are coming, that is priced in. So tapering and a signal that interest rate hikes are coming, that's priced in. The only thing that would bring any kind of shock to the system is if they actually raised interest rates. So 3 potential scenarios from tomorrow. This is what I'm looking at when we're considering price action. I'll give the worst one first. Scenario 1, there's some kind of reaction that causes the price to dump, and maybe what we would do is that we would sweep these lows right here. So we'd go down to the lower 40s, and if so, I think that would be probability wise, I think that would be a pretty good time, or a very good time, to get into some new entries. If some kind of a reaction happened tomorrow that would cause the price of Bitcoin to go lower 40s, in my opinion, with any fiat that I have sitting on the sideline, that would be, in my opinion, a time to get in. So yeah, something unexpected happens tomorrow, and we see long-term holders and miners offload some of their positions. I would expect, I wouldn't expect them to dump like they did in May. I just would not expect that. But if they were to offload some of their positions, that would be kind of my target area, would be the lower 40s. And again, worst case scenario, could we go to the 30s? There is a possibility, but one thing that I am convinced of is that if miners and if long-term holders, if their conviction remains strong, then we are not going to the 30s. And if for some crazy reason we do go to the 30s, even while they're holding strong with their conviction, then there's just something that I am going to need to go back to the drawing board and really revisit things with on-chain analytics. I am willing to put on-chain on the line and say that that's not going to happen, that their conviction remains strong, that Bitcoin wouldn't go to the 30s. But if something unexpected happens tomorrow and they do offload some of their positions, maybe we would then see something like Bitcoin going to the lower 40s. Scenario 2, nothing unexpected comes out of tomorrow. It's just everything that we expected. We expect tapering to be sped up. We expect a signal of interest rate hikes to come, which would, be reversed at some point in 2022 as the Fed sees, nope, we can't raise rates. But short term, they signal that interest rates are coming. Our interest rate hikes are coming. To me, in my opinion, that is already priced in, and so fine. No worries. Institutions, smart money, whales will start buying again, and we will see something like what we saw in July. A climb, a slow climb, a little bit of a climb every day, and then at some point there would be a short squeeze. And then, we'd get up to the upper 50s or something and meet some resistance there, maybe $60,000, and see something like a little correction before shooting higher. And where would we go? I mean, if the volume's going to be low, my expectation is that we would go somewhere to like the 70s or 80s, and then see something similar to this. And so this is kind of, you've got to, if something like this happens, you've got to see that this is kind of a new normal that could come of this, is that we see a rise to $80,000, $70,000, $75,000. People get excited. They start raising, they start doing more leverage trading. And then we see another dump to the upper 50s or something. And then we climb again. That could be the new normal. And so if I see Bitcoin, as a result of tomorrow, we see some more buying happening, and I see Bitcoin climbing again, getting above the bull market support band and maybe getting up to, new all-time highs, I am taking money off the table, and I would strongly recommend that you do something similar. All right, so that is scenario 2. That's a bullish scenario. And if that plays out, then as far as the peak over $100,000, when would that happen? My guess would be the end of 2022, maybe May at the earliest. I think it would be very unlikely for Bitcoin to peak during the summer. The saying sell in May, go away, that is a very true thing. And so then scenario 3, I think this is the least likely scenario. I think something good or bad is going to come from tomorrow, but the least likely scenario is that we just crab. And so maybe we just hang out in the upper 40s for a little bit before moving up in January or February or something like that. I think that is least likely based off of just where we are right now. I mean, this orange line right here is a very key line. It's the 50-week simple moving average. We have not in this bull run had a weekly close below the 50-week simple moving average. We had a few days below it, you can see in July there. And so that would be my expectation, is that we hang out above the 50-week simple moving average, and as that's rising, we will rise with it. If that would be the crab scenario. So if that's the case, then now is a great time to buy. I don't know. I want to see us again get above the bull market support band, which is around $52,000 right now, and then I will be a bull again. But right now I'm crabbish bearish. And I did talk about being a bull in a video last week. When I saw that one whale sell 22,000 Bitcoin, I was like, okay, that was a little premature, and I do apologize for that. But otherwise, my expectation is that we see a slow climb starting tomorrow or the day after, something like that. And then maybe we'll get above the bull market support band, test that as support before going a little higher. But we'll see. Be prepared for any scenario. If you see Bitcoin go to the $42,000, $41,000 range, be mentally prepared for that, and that'll make this easier. So we'll see. Until then, the bears are in control. But that is all I have for today. If you like this content, again, smash up that like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment or two in the comment section. Otherwise, I will see you in another video. Peace.